I know what this looks like. It looks like a big, shiny red sports car. It looks like a midlife crisis. It looks like a plea for views, viewing hours, and subscribers. But the real truth is, it's more. So much more. Hi, I'm Brian, and welcome to this slightly bizarre video today when I'm going to be reviewing Brat by Charli XCX. Now, the truth of the matter is a little bit more interesting and complex than just me wanting to feel really up to date and hanging down with the kids. The truth behind this is one of my very favorite teacher, friend, colleagues from where I work was leaving at the end of last term. And on that day, she gave me a going away present as opposed to me giving her one. She was the one who was leaving. And I saw the wrapping paper and realized it was vinyl. I thought, oh, this will be good. I ripped open the wrapping paper and this was what was there. Now, I had some idea of what it was, but it's not in my ballpark at all. It's not in my hitting zone at all. So I said, okay, well, that's great. That's so good. And she said she went to a lot of trouble and a lot of expense to get it for me. And I'm going, but still, I said, that sounds great. And she said, you can have it on one condition. I said, what's that? And she said, you have to review it on your YouTube channel. Would I be still the old man yelling at the clouds, Brat, Brat, Brat? Or would I be able to overcome my misconceptions and get into this album? Well, you know what? Let's find out. So it wasn't just my misconceptions I was going to have to overcome to get into this album, but also my preconceptions. And a little search of Charli XCX on Wikipedia told me that she's no overnight sensation, that this is her sixth album, and she's got this album has a 90% approval on Metacritic, which is the highest for 2024 or something. And it also won 3 Grammys, one for Best Dance Electronic Album and one for the packaging as well. And it's pretty easy to see why. You've got that incredibly lurid green on the front, which is definitely popping and eye-catching. The single word Brat. Inside of this gatefold, you have a picture of Charli and then a cutaway so you can see me. It's got to be the highlight, surely. And inside, you get a dot matrix printout of all of the credits. You get a booklet which features more Charli, but also all of the lyrics as well. And then the record comes in this really cool sleeve, which is not poly-lined, but there it is. It's upside down. I'm not going to let it fall out today. That's my goal. So, was I able to overcome these preconceptions? Well, I mean, auto-tune is everywhere, which is something like I've never been smacked in the face by it before to such a large extent. But, it's another thing you have to deal with in this day and age. And Charli XCX says that it's almost part of her vocal instrument these days. So who can argue with that? Let's get into the album itself. And the album starts off with 360. And that was one of the singles. And as I said, you get slapped in the face by the auto-tune. But it doesn't matter. The groove is so cool. And I like what's happening with the lyrics here, if I can read for you. When you're in the mirror, do you like what you see? When you're in the mirror, you're just looking at me. I'm everywhere. I'm so Julia. Julia? Am I supposed to know this? That shows how out of touch I am. I'm just thinking, is this Julia Roberts she's talking about? Anyway, it's a great start to the album. It reminds me a little bit of that, what's the word? Party rock is in the house tonight. Everybody gonna have a good time. Except this is a hell of a lot better than that. The next song up is Club Classics, which is an absolute standout for me. And as I was listening to it, I was thinking, because you might know that I love Underworld so much, the EDM band, and I was thinking, if Carl and Rick were putting this out, would I be listening to it? And my answer was, yeah, I think I would. And I wonder whether that right now is sort of like a callback to Fatboy Slim. But still, lyrically, I have troubles. I'm going to read another bit for you. When I go to the club, it's like, I want to dance to me. It's like. Anyway, what can I say? But I get the point entirely that she wants to dance to her own music. I get that as well, because sometimes when I release or record some music that what I really want to listen to is my own music, and so I get sort of caught in that a bit. Next song is Sympathy Is Like a Knife. It was kind of predictable. I knew where it was going, so I skipped right to the next one, which would have been a great song in any time period. And that's, I think I might say something stupid. It particularly gives me almost a trip hop sort of feel from the 90s, and it's extremely moving. The lyrics: wear these clothes as disguise just to re enter the party. Door is open, let in, but still outside. I look perfect for the background. I get nervous, sip the wine. I go so cold, I go so cold, because I don't know if I belong here anymore. And that's a theme that runs throughout this album. There's quite a lot of bravado and female empowerment all the way through, which is fantastic. But there are moments of insecurity and vulnerability as well, where there's almost sort of like an existential crisis going on. And isn't that what being a human is all about? So Talk's up next, and it's a real banger. I love it a lot, but it's something that I almost feel as though something's being withheld, or they're a bit restrained. They're not letting it really out and pumping. I reckon it'd go down incredibly well. Talk. So that leads us to Von Dutch, which was the first single from the album, and it's easy to see why. It's a real earworm, and I loved it right from the start. I love the groove. It's a banging, popping groove, and it hasn't stayed, interestingly enough, as my favorite song on the album, but it's still up there. I like it a lot. I love the lyrics too. You're obsessing, just confess it. Put your hands up. It's obvious I'm your number one. And on this song, she won the Grammy for Best Dance Pop Recording. So that's really cool, as is the next song, which is called Everything Is Romantic. And I'm really liking her voice on this track. She's British and that accent comes through, and I love how she's sort of advocating, maintaining, signposting, privileging that voice. And the music here is really stripped back, and it allows for her voice and the lyrics to just float on over the top. And what she does in this song is list lots of ideas and images and why they're all so romantic. And the key here is that a lot of the images are ones that we are very familiar with. They're ubiquitous and they're universal, and it creates a really great connection between the listener and Charli XCX. Things like Jesus on a plastic sign, winding roads in manual drive. Cool things. I mean, I can visualize being there and doing it. Next song is Rewind, which is all about maybe a journey into the earlier times of her life when things were a lot more simple and less complex. And I think we can all relate to that. And it's an interesting idea also that permeates through this album about circles and rewinding and looking back at the past. Is it potentially a case of some sort of imposter syndrome, or potentially just meditations on success? Um, Not kind of sure, but I love some of the images. I used to burn CDs of songs I didn't know. I used to never think about Billboard, but now I've started thinking again, wondering about whether I think I deserve commercial success. It's running through my mind sometimes. I really think it would be cool to rewind. Now, the percussion here reminds me of 1980s Prince, and I think there's a lot of Prince influence on this album, and that's only ever going to be a good thing. So I is next up, and this sort of brings in 3 songs in a row where I'm not really blown away by the music. But there are some great moments in the lyrics which really appeal to me. And So I starts off with guilty feelings keep me fractured, a universal thought there, which I think is beautiful. We can relate to this. And the one thing that really jumps out to me in the music here is towards the end we have a distorted electric or an overdriven electric guitar sound solo, which really is great. It's fat, it's punchy, it's just sweet. It's absolutely beautiful. At first I thought it might have been her voice with distortion or overdrive on it, but I'm going with the guitar now, which leads us into Girl So Confusing, which I just don't know the backstory to this one. I've done a bit of reading and it suggested that it's about her difficulties with another female musician, but I'm just not sure what it was. But I love again how her Englishness of her voice is being privileged at this point. And then Apple, which was another single. For me, musically, this is just, I don't know, it's just there. And, my sort of, at this point in the album, I remember, when I first heard it, and even to now to a sort of extent, I'm starting to think that my preconceptions may be getting in the way of enjoying this album. I know that when I was just listening to the last time that I enjoyed it more. The good news is that the next song is probably my favorite on the album. It's called B2B, Back to Back, B2B. written out like Prince would write it out. And I think maybe the reason for that is that it is a real homage to Prince in the early 2000s in a sense musically. I love the lyrics of back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Not the lyrics, the groove of that. And there's these swirling synth psychedelic sounds that underpin this whole thing. And that's one of the things about the arrangement and production of this album. There's just little moments of ear candy when you turn different corners down the different streets you go on, the streets being the songs. Next up is Mean Girls. Well, I'm not really the target audience for Mean Girls, and I don't know a lot of Mean Girls, but still, I thought initially that this was going to be a bit of a skipper. But then there's a break in the middle, and we have sort of some piano playing going on there, and that really came from left field, and I certainly wasn't expecting it at all. So I got into that song. Um, as I did very much with I think about this, I think about it all the time, and the it is whether to have a child. Her delivery is so strong on this, so emotional yet dispassionate, introspective but very much thought-provoking. And I've got some lyrics here which I love. I was walking around in Stockholm, seriously thinking about my future for the first time. It was ice cold, playing demos on my iPhone. I went to my friend's place and I met their baby for the first time. So sublime. So we had a conversation on the way home. Should I stop my birth control? Because my career feels so small in the existential scheme of it all. I think about it all the time. It's such a powerful, beautiful, emotional song. Definitely a highlight for me on the album. And it comes just towards the end of the album and we get to 365, which is really interesting because we start with 360, which is like 360 degrees coming back to the start. 365 days, of course, in a year, which brings us back to the new year and back to January again. And so we've really got this idea of full circle going on. In this one, she's determined to be a party girl, at least for the time being. And I don't know whether there's a sense of defiance or just absolutely trying to, again, that bravado after the song. I think about it all the time. But again, there's that sense of Prince from probably about the Come album era. It's got attitude. Perhaps unsurprisingly, this is the favorite song of my friend who gave me the album. And she said something really perceptive when she gave it to me in saying that she wishes that she could go back to the first time that she ever heard 365. And she was kind of jealous that I was going to be able to experience it for the first time again. And isn't that what it's all about? That ability to give, to share ideas, to have empathy, to be able to walk in each other's shoes. I think it's a wonderful part of being human. It's so solid and it's so fundamentally brilliant. So I got a lot of pleasure out of listening to this album, but the big question now is, would I ever need to listen to it again? Or would I listen to it again? Or would it just sit in the crate and slowly go backwards as other albums came in to fill up the space? And I think, I've discovered that I can certainly use this album when I'm exercising, when I'm going for a walk, or when I just want to be put in a really good mood. It's a really interesting, exciting, creative, and pleasurable album. And remember that if music of any size, shape, sound, or bratish substance gives you pleasure, then who am I to argue with your opinion? There are some videos popping up right now. Maybe you might want to have a listen to one. Maybe think about liking and subscribing. Anyway, until next time, I'm Brian. Hope you're all doing really well. Stay cool. Bye now.